Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Rachel Autry, where I love to help you delight in life and find joy right where you are. And we are in this super fun studio. If you listened to previous episode, you know we were with Annie of Downs herself. And now we're here with another good friend, Christy Nockels.
Hello.
In this beautiful space in Nashville, in real life. I still feel like we're far. We still can't reach, but it's in real life, which I love. There's nothing like a Zoom call, but then there's also nothing like sharing air, being in the same space. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm so excited.
I love giving my friends that listen context to who I have on the show. And oftentimes it's just people, strangers that are incredibly wise, having, it feels like first date, blind date behind microphones, you know, and you're just like trying to talk about something really rich and you're like, this is intense for our first conversation ever.
Yes.
So whenever I get to have friends that I've met in real life and shared a little bit of time with, it's really sweet because we're like, I just want to give people context into like where they're hopping into on this journey.
As we continue conversations. Yes.
I know. I was talking to Annie right before you walked in. I was like, we shouldn't have had coffee before this. This should have been our coffee. So we have all, like, we just need to rinse and repeat everything we just talked about.
Totally, yes.
But okay, everyone, this is Christy. She's amazing. You know her probably from her music, if not her podcast, Glorious in the Mundane. We met a month ago, a month and a half ago, at Lost Valley Ranch, a beautiful space.
Yes.
Which I know means so much to you.
It does.
It was only my second year there, but I can see, like, it does something. It changes your brain chemistry a little bit just to be there.
It's like still probably top happy place for me.
Really?
Yeah.
If you had to just go anywhere,
Yeah.
it would be Lost Valley.
I mean, it's top 5 for sure.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
That's a whole thing.
It kind of changed my life. I didn't know I needed horses. I didn't know I needed a horseback ride. It changed my life. So
tell me more. Did you not grow up with horses? I don't know why.
Did
I just imagine Christy Nockels being the no. This podcast is all about diversion. That's the best way to go. I don't know why in my mind, Christy Nockels' brand is just like equine a little bit. I'm wrong. Apparently, Lost Valley was the one that really taught you your love for horses.
yes,
What?
you know, I didn't know that I needed that in my life, and it actually like opened up. I would go as far as to say it opened up a part of my heart that I didn't even know needed opening up. That horseback riding did that. And okay, so they say that I mean, this is science, but they say that you can inherit core memories in your DNA.
What?
And my grandpa rode a horse to school. And like he would like, if he had basketball practice, he would just like go out and slap her on the butt and send her home. And his mom would know, okay, horse came home. I got to go get him later. He must have basketball practice. And then my dad broke horses. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's maybe in my DNA.
Yeah, it's in her blood.
And so it was like when I started riding, it was like I was always meant to do this.
You know, whenever grandparents are like, oh, and I walked uphill in the snow both ways to school and back. Your grandfather was like, I rode a horse and slapped him on his behind to get him back home. That is so epic.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's just, it was in me and it just needed to like be released.
Yes.
So for real, my husband would say, you are a different person on a horse.
Like unleashed in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And did you learn really to horseback ride there or did you do any riding?
Yes. Like,
it's not a horseback riding podcast. I'm just so interested. I am invested in this newfound love.
it's like on Notting Hill where he comes in and isn't he like from like Horse and Hound or something and he interviews her. Anyway, that was so random. But yeah, so I had ridden horses before, but just like trail rides.
Got it.
Whereas like here you actually learn to like, I think within days we learned how to like lope.
And
So it just was really like getting that into that rhythm and learning all about, you know, how kind of that relationship that you have with, you and your horse. But you also like as a guest, when you go in the summer, you get to do cattle drives. And so it's like an all day thing. And that's what my husband says that like, he's like, I don't even know who you are anymore.
Christy 2.0.
He's like, you're just way up there. Just, hey, yeah. Like, just like just writing and like
Which
making
is
like
just
noises.
not you. I know. I mean, I guess it is you. I'm learning a new
guess it
version of
is.
Christy in this moment.
Okay.
I love her.
We can go somewhere else now.
No, this is beautiful. I love it. Okay, so Lost Valley Ranch is where we really connected. And
it is.
I am still blown away. You were so kind. Okay, how do I even phrase all this? It's so special that I want to help. I want to hold it well, and that's what's so hard with friends. I'm like, I love what you're working on. I want to say it right. I want to do it justice. I want to make sure people know. And it's hard to do that with words sometimes. So please forgive me if I just sometimes fall over my words. I was so privileged to be in a sweet room, in the fireside room, where you got to share with us some of your songs.
Yeah.
Your new ones.
Yes.
And I think, wait, no. Pause. I didn't say it right. We met for the first time.
Yeah, I didn't.
Were you thinking that? And you were like, I should correct her? You should have. We met for the very first time at a Christmas party in Nashville this past Christmas.
Yes.
And with Clear Reeves. We love her.
Yes.
And you were so sweet and led us in worship there.
Yeah.
We connected because.
Yeah.
And you're a great connector. And then I told you how much we loved. What did I say? I said something. I said, hold on. I need you to know I regret this. You know those moments you have in the shower and you cringe and you're all by yourself and you're embarrassed no one even is with you? This is one of those for me.
Are you
serious?
Ready?
I said something like, I love when... What did I say? What's the song? I said the wrong Sound of Music song.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You were going to correct me then too, and you didn't.
I didn't correct you, but yeah, I can't remember which one you said.
The actual sound.
But you said ADVERTISE, right?
I said ADVERTISE. That's what I said. That's not what I meant to say.
I was like, either she's listening to someone and she thinks it's me, which happens a lot.
Okay, so my dad's lullaby for us was ADVERTISE. We loved Sound of Music growing up. And so your last lullaby album, Beheld, we loved Sound of Music, the actual track.
Yeah, The Hills Are Alive.
And that's what I meant to say.
Oh.
And then I said ADVERTISE, and I was like, she's not even going to think I'm actually a fan. I'm a fraud, actually. And then I got a second chance at Lost Valley. I was like, hey. And anyway, so you shared your two of your new pieces on this new album.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful.
Thank you.
And I want people to hear me say that whenever we say lullaby album today moving forward in our conversation, we are not speaking about something for children or babies. The way that it profoundly impacted me, just hearing you sing over us, some of us moms, some of us not, some of us want to be. I was like, we need this more than my littles do.
Yeah.
So thanks for making something like that.
Well, that was a sacred space for us to get to finally share those because, gosh, as a songwriter, when they're just like welling up in you and you've got just, all these just inklings at first. And then when they like develop into what we feel like, I think every song has an invitation. And so it's just really beautiful when you get to like finally share those in a space where you're like, okay, these are the spaces that these are supposed to land. And then when it does land and you've got people coming up in tears, it's so sacred. It really is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful for us too. So
good.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that was a safe space to do that. And I want you to speak to someone who maybe, let's say, has, a lot of what we talked about with coffee, at coffee right before this, which we should have just waited for this to be able to chat, was just, I think what I'm taking away from that last conversation theme is how God's timing is everything versus how we think that things will play out. Yeah. They rarely do. Mm-hmm. And I'm even thinking about this album and the way that it's honoring the season that you're in. It's the first Mother's Day without your mom.
Yeah.
It's the first, you're very close to empty nesting.
Yeah.
That just, I think motherhood is in this very tender spot for you. Mm-hmm. Yet you have this beautiful project that you're able to love on all of us with that wisdom of things that you've walked through.
Yeah.
And I want you to speak to someone maybe who has been walking through something particularly very hard and tender, and maybe encourage them that there is no waste. Yeah. It's not in vain.
Yeah.
And whether it's an album or something else super special that Lord's doing in their heart, it's worth it.
Yeah.
What would you say to her?
For sure. Well, my goodness, when I look back on seasons of hardship, and I have, several of those seasons in my adult life at this point, But truly, when I look back on those, they were the very catalyst for the deepest growth in my life. And so often when people are in that place of hardship, while also being sensitive and saying, I'm so sorry for what you were walking through. Obviously, you want to hold that with people and you want to be sensitive. But I will often share that. I'll just say, like, these were the moments that God most taught me to abide, taught me to, actively wait on Him. And, I was just talking to a friend yesterday about just the end of Isaiah 40, where just the only prerequisite to be soaring on wings with wings like eagles, or on wings like eagles, is just waiting on the Lord. So sometimes it's sweet, in those seasons, it's like we keep wanting to get to the place of healing, even or like wholeness, or for things to look better or to just be better before we think we can have growth. But I've just, found it to be true that the depth is happening even in that hardship, if we, which I always, talk about on my own podcast, but just keeping an open heart to God, that's the thing. That's the most crucial thing. And I think it was the A.W. Tozer, how he would say how God made the most vital thing the easiest thing, which is just to look to Him in those moments of hardship. Like, He made it that simple, just to simply lift the eyes of our heart to Him in those seasons and have an open heart to God. And I've found that it's been, the deepest growth and produce a lot of fruit from those hard times. So be encouraged.
There's some people that come on the podcast and I kind of just want to be like, okay, just keep talking. You're one of those. I'm just keep talking. And I'm just going to sit here with open palms and just keep receiving. And you are that. I think what's really profound with what you just said too is this idea that, Mary Morantz says this. Well, she said, slow growth equals strong roots. And so many times, like, we want to get to the next thing, and God's like, but there's work to be done here, and I don't want you to miss it. And we can move on if that's your longing and your desire. And I will continue my work on you as we move, but like, trust me, there's something here. And that often is just growing pains that just, they look different than we thought life would ever look. But then I also often look at the life that I have. Like, I can't imagine looking any different too.
Absolutely.
And it's just like the tension between who we are and who we want to be and who God's really made us to be and our true identity in Him.
Absolutely.
So a whole thing. The album is called A King Who Never Sleeps, Anthems for Rest.
Yeah.
I got that right?
You did. Yes.
I binged the whole album as soon as your manager sent it to me. Yes. TikTok.
Yes.
Really fun. I love that one. Also, Be Where Your Feet Are, which you've already released and our friends can go ahead and listen to. And I love this idea too, even from what you're talking about. We have been built to have to come to the end of ourselves, to have to lay our heads down at night. Because there's someone who, a God who cares so much about us, that wants us to rest and also needs us to rest. He doesn't need us to operate 24/7. And so, thank you, Lord.
Yes.
I'm so thankful. Annie and I were talking about that too, just how, I'm like, Annie, feel free to pop in if you're hearing us talk right now to remind me fully of what you said, because I want to do it justice. But this idea of we are, Annie, what did you say? She said something like, we are coming to the end of ourselves. What was I trying to say? This is mom brain.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
We just were talking about processing at coffee too. And I think you jinxed me. Now I'm a slow processor. Forget about it. We're moving on. I'll remember when the clock hits 32 minutes. Watch, it's going to happen. Anyways, all of this to say, I'm literally imagining Annie running down the hall coming to my rescue.
Like,
Annie, can you hear me, please?
Can you hear me?
You have the permission. All of this to say, basically, that yes, we come to the end of ourselves. We have to rest our heads. And I remember it now. God does. We joked and we're like, hey, when we go to sleep, God cleans up the mess that we made during the day.
I love that. He's the janitor. He's up all night.
He's a glorious janitor with the mop and everything. Oh, yeah. I want to make it known that there's something beautiful that happens when we are off.
Yeah.
And I think we have
That's
just been
right.
taught to be on.
Yeah.
And this permission that this album gives us is just to be off for a second.
Yeah, it's so good.
So good.
Yeah, we need rest. We were made for it, and I think, the whole album, the theme of it is, here's all the reasons we have to rest. And it was sort of like song after song. It was like getting into, most of the songs are based on scripture, and just getting into what are all the reasons we have to rest. And then, of course, we even did on the album cover, it's a crest of Christ and his kingdom, because it's like that is the refuge. That's our inheritance. We belong to it. And I love that idea of just like we have this unshakable kingdom with a king who never sleeps, and we get to lay down at night, and he's ordered us and created us for that kind of rhythm to be able to do that. And what a blessing to be able to do that. And I think, but as we all know, we live in a world of just, it's unsustainable pace and a lot of anxiety. And when we lay down, that's one of the most, it can feel very vulnerable for people. And so even with just, it's the lyrics, but also even my husband, Nathan, produced this album, and like, we are just so meticulous about the sounds as well. And this is even a fun fact too, that in every song, I'm actually speaking scripture, and it is tucked into the level of like an instrument.
Nuh-uh.
It's not audible, but I am speaking scripture just like at the level of a violin.
That is
But
technology. And you can't really tell. Is there a way to like slow down the song
but I figure
enough?
It's audible in the spiritual realm. And so I'm just like,
let's go.
I just love it. It's an instrument in there. So every song has scripture that I'm actually speaking through, but I'm just like, why not? But we were very intentional with all the sounds on this album, just so that also when you lay down, there's just not one that kind of like pulls you out of the moment. Just even like, just having this lull for us, literally like a lullaby to just, help us rest. And so it's fun. We have a lot of college students who stop us and say, I listened to this before exams, it's my favorite album. And, you're like, you're 20. It's really sweet. It's really precious. Of course, a lot of moms, but we love it because we wanted to create a shared listening experience for families. It's like to resource families. And a lot of times you find that, kids' music is maybe a little bit annoying for the parents.
You don't say.
Yeah.
I'm in that stage right now, 4 and 2. I'm like, if we listen to this one song on repeat any more times, check me into the loony bin.
Right. Right. Or it's maybe over kids' heads. So it's just, we wanted to create something that mom can be driving in the minivan and it's falling on her in a really sweet way. And hopefully the kids are also taking a nap. So
that's right. Amen. Yes. Car naps.
Yeah,
they win every time. My 4-year-old has gotten pretty difficult to put to sleep at night. And I think it's because that, like, as soon as you put your head down on your pillow, you get all the thoughts, all of the wishes, all of the wonders, all the questions.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were his new thing is like, we just snuggle me. So I'm like, I don't rock him to sleep. I just lay with him.
Yeah.
It ends up being about a 35-minute thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm playing puppets. I'm like, close your eyes, be still. I'm thinking about, I still got to clean the kitchen. I still have to do the things.
Yeah.
And it's sweet though, because I think, it gives us something to help them and guide them, and somewhere to put and contain their thoughts too.
Yeah, I love
to be like, hey, I love that you're having those thoughts. Not before you go to sleep. Like, let's focus and shift our eyes on something else. And we need that too.
Yeah.
Like, let's shift and focus our attention elsewhere to where it actually is heavenly and needed and valuable. I was talking with some of my friends who wrote children's books recently. A lot of them. Annie wrote one. Yes. My friend Justin Whitmall early just wrote one. And I said, what was your favorite part about writing a kid's book? Or I asked Justin this, and he said, I think just knowing that parents are going to be reading it too, and really having the comprehension more than the kids.
Yeah, totally.
And so how do I tuck in truth for them to not be like, this is too silly, but them also say, this is for me.
That's right.
And so it just there is nothing too light and nothing too elementary.
Yeah, that's right.
It's for us.
Come like a child.
Come like a child.
Yeah. It's good.
And I think what's really neat too about just career-wise, like I think it's so beautiful that you led worship for a long time.
Yeah.
Like people, I'm sure, love you as just like worship Christy Nockels, powerful PowerPoint in the back, leading conferences, things like that, all the way to now composing something with your husband.
Yeah.
For littles, for everyone, but lullabies like for littles, and getting low with them is something I want to honor you for, because I think that a lot of people would look at success being driven by crowds and numbers and filling arenas and things like that. And you're like, but there's also generations behind us that also need help and healing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that.
Yeah. It's been a sweet thing to kind of go from the large to like the power of small in a lot of ways. And we did that really intentionally about 10 years ago. And there's been a lot of fruit from that just in our own family, like our kids. And just it's been a really deep, sweet thing to watch that happen. And even just, you know, as a songwriter too, I feel like I was just telling someone this the other day, but just kind of going from writing corporate songs which I would say that I always needed the right writers in the room, even to like write a corporate song that maybe you've sung shoulder to shoulder at church before, because I've always had a little bit more whimsy, you know, than like the modern hymn writers that are my friends, you know. But hopefully I, you know, add something in that moment that's a little bit outside of the box. But now I feel like, you know, I've gone from writing corporate songs to, I feel like the Lord's just shown me like, you're kind of now writing like cave songs. Both of them fit in the Psalms. You know, it's like we've got the like songs of ascent, but then it's like we have cave songs of David, you know, just in a cave singing to the Lord. And it's like we need both. And I feel like these songs, this new album, and you know, the albums I've made in the past few years, it's for the mundane moments. It's for like the carpool. It's the minivan. You know, I drove a minivan for 8 years.
Matching socks.
Exactly. Exactly. So I feel like these are the songs. It's like praise for the mundane. It's like worship in the mundane. And we need both. We still need the hymns we sing shoulder to shoulder with the beloved and, you know, the church. And then we need these cave songs as well that we can, you know, sing in the carpool line and kind of just like have that moment with the Lord. So I hope this provides that for a lot of sweet mamas out there.
It is. I want to ask you a personal question.
Yeah.
You're like, oh gosh. Okay. I would love for you to speak to what it's like to do these kinds of projects with your spouse.
Yeah.
Because I have so many friends that we are in this really cool season of building something, whether it's family or career or calling or whatever.
Yeah.
And having your spouse champion you obviously is a non-negotiable in really having those experiences be something that feel fun.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
But I will also say it's different whenever you're actually like doing it with them, you know, right? Like I love Thomas to death. He's a pilot. I would never step in the cockpit. I'm like, you do your thing.
Yeah.
And then you can come home. Totally. And I'll champion you in that. But he's like, do you want to get your private? Like your solo? And I'm like, absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, that's all you, boo. I'm like, I'll have something for you to eat when you get home. But I want you to speak to like, what is it like? Like, can you give us an idea? And then also, how have y'all learned to do that dance together where you're doing marriage, home, parenting, work together? What's the secret?
Yeah.
Basically to making it.
Well, you know, some of it's a little bit unfair in that it's all we've ever known. And so we don't know anything different because we met at 19 and we started songwriting then. Even when we were dating, we were songwriting, and then we were like
together just songwriting. Yeah, that's really special.
And then just like at that time, it was like coincided kind of when just like this worship movement that actually now turned into a whole, you know, genre of music. Back then, you know, it was just right when the church was like kind of shifting from like singing about God to singing to God. And so there was this actual shift happening, and like there was a movement that of God and in that time. And so we were like traveling in a van with a friend, Charlie Hall, and just going anywhere we would, you know, people would have us come lead worship. And it was a sweet time. And so we kind of like, it was like a little bit like trial by fire in some ways of just kind of like jump in the van, we're doing this, you know? And so by the time we actually got married, and I remember us sitting in our little apartment, and I was like, what if we like actually didn't get real jobs? Like, what if this is what we do, you know? And he, at that time, he was getting his music education degree. He was going to finish school, and he did. I dropped out. I was just like working so that we could put him through school because we got married at 21. And so, I mean, you know, this is just like,
Beans and love, baby.
Yes,
Tuna fish and
yes, we've
got
just
it.
grown up together for sure. And so, as you can imagine, you know, by now, you know, we've learned a lot, but it's, you know, in the past 10 years, I will say, when we went from, you know, we were involved with Passion Conferences for 20 years. And when we kind of left the big thing, you know, we started our little small thing, which is like, we have our own little record label called Keepers Branch Records. And, you know, we are taking, I think the biggest difference is that we are learning to take risks together because we kind of moved from not having really to take a lot of risks because I was on a label and we had been on labels all before that.
It read safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, you know, all the plane tickets were covered. You come out and you stand on your X on the stage and you sing these songs, you know. I mean, like, actually, there was like a tape.
Truly an X. Yeah,
little X tape that, like, this is where Christy's standing and singing. And there was, like, a lot of ease to that. And, oh, my goodness, we're so grateful for that season. I think there's a season to 100%. Be under, you know, and to serve. And then I think that God calls you, you know, into a season of like ownership and owning and kind of being over others, and in a way that's like you're leading and you're shepherding, and that's a beautiful thing. And so, as you can imagine, we've like, there's been just a ton of shift, even in the past 10 years of us learning to take those risks together. I mean, some of our biggest fights were when we first left the big thing to go like, Lord, if you don't catch us, we're maybe going off a cliff here. But it, you know, the temptation is, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? You know, and
scarcity.
Yeah.
Instead of believing we serve a God who was infinitely enough for us.
Yeah. And you can kind of start like, well, this was your idea. Like, you kind of can start quickly like blaming. And so we had to get past, you know, a lot of those initial, like, just like the fright of leaving the big thing and like learning to risk together. And I think it's been really beautiful because as we've kind of had some of those, like, you know, scary moments of like doing a family tour, like we were truly like the Von Trapp family, talk about Sound of Music. Like, we did several Christmas tours when our kids were, you know, our youngest was like 9 and she was like, all 3 kids were on stage with us. We were leading all night and literally sang the Sound of Music around one microphone. And, you know, but that was financial risk for us, you know, and it was just a whole other like thing to take on. But it's sweet because I think in those moments you realize, like, it's like Nathan found this gear that he never knew he had, you know, in terms of like where he could kind of fit into the equation of like filling these gaps almost that we needed filling in our little team. You know, there's just really, it's just Nathan and I, and we have a manager, Matt, who is like in it with us and has been in it with us for about, I mean, gosh, over 12 years now. But it's like Nathan has, as we've kind of had those moments where you're just like juggling a lot of things, it's like he has seen where he can step in. And then I've seen where I can step out of things and vice versa. It's like we've kind of watched and grown, and, you know, I think just even too, like the way our world is now, it's like, you know, we're in a place where we're having to learn new things. And I think that's been also a sweet thing to kind of encourage each other. And, you know, right now he's getting into film scoring, and it's so fun to get to be his biggest fan because it's something I can't step into with him. And to kind of, whereas we've had this world where we're like kind of like, you know, shoulder to shoulder in this thing or carrying this thing together. And then, you know, when I've kind of like, I wrote a book and I do some speaking, he's like, you go, girl. And then like, you know, and he's doing the film scoring. And so that has felt really sweet. And then also I would say at night, we have had to learn at 6 o'clock, we got to do our very best to he started to want to learn to cook dinner with me, and he's just kind of starting to step into some of that, especially as our last little birdie's about to fly.
Nesters that have date night every night.
He's like, I want to learn how to do this, and we really try our best to like shut off work stuff and just have just to have that part of that facet of our relationship that doesn't include risk taking and all the things and carrying this little label together. So yeah, it's good. We're just still growing in it. We haven't figured it all out, but it's a beautiful thing to just stay for each other and be in it together. So, yeah.
Isn't it fascinating? I'm hearing you talk and about how taking risks with one another is really how you find intimacy.
Yeah, it's so
and
true.
Similarly, I think we've been built, even with our relationship with the Lord, like taking risks and being obedient and showing up where you feel like it doesn't make sense is where you also grow in intimacy.
That's right, yeah.
And so I think it just comes to you having to surrender, like lay yourself down and be like, I don't know. Yeah, this is what I think.
That's right.
And I'm going to trust the mystery. I'm going to trust the process and trust my Lord. And I see that to be true too, even in our marriage. Like, I mean, we left ministry to chase a dream, Thomas's dream, which kind of led me to my dream of being a pilot and serving our country. And then led me to also being a nomad, traveling around the country for pilot training stuff, which led me to, I don't know what I really want to do. And then was invited to step behind a microphone and start the podcast. So it's just so interesting what happens when you have someone who can be the person that's like, I think you should go for it. And I want to go for it. And maybe we go for it together. Yeah. Because that's where I think honesty has to happen. Yeah. That's where fear happens. That's also where love happens. Yeah. And all of that together. Totally. Is where I think this new level of intimacy happens too as a spouse. So I just was curious. Yeah. Like, how does it? Yeah. Tell me how it works. Yes. How do we make it? And we want to go to the end. Totally. And it's hard. It's really hard, especially like sharing a dream. Yeah. I can only imagine what that's looked like. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. I want you to tell us where people can listen, where they can stream. Yeah. Do all the shameless plugs. Tell us about your books. Tell us about your podcast. Yes. Just do the Christy thing. Okay. Well, so you can find the music anywhere you listen to music, like, iTunes, Spotify, all the things, Amazon. We actually we're making CDs, which is so fun. Let's go. Printing CDs this time around, which will be just fun. I've actually, a friend of mine. Taking me back. Yes. To my illegal download. I know. Days. Isn't it wild? A friend of mine just told me, so she has high schoolers, and she just said that they're all installing CD players in their car right now. It's like, I love that. Because they actually sound better. It sonically, yes, it sounds better than streaming. That's a whole thing. But anyway, I'm glad y'all are streaming as well. But I wrote a book back in I think it landed in 2021. I think I started it in 2018, though. For real, it took me a long time. But it is about a story of me laying down my career really early on when the kids were little. And it's called The Life You Long For, Learning to Live from a Heart of Rest. So rest is kind of my life message. It feels like the thing that God has pursued my own heart over and over. And so, you can find that anywhere you buy books as well. And then the podcast, The Glorious and the Mundane, I kind of just come in and out of that. It's not super, super duper steady, but I do season after season. It's just kind of a little bit when there's margin, I will pick that back up. But that's why you subscribe to podcasts. That's my thing. When people are like, it's inconsistent. I'm like, but if you subscribe, you'll always know. It'll always be there. It'll always pop up as a notification. So there's my shameless plug for you if you want to listen. But like, when does she come back? Just subscribe. Totally. And the full album is out June 6th. So soon. The full King Who Never Sleeps, Anthems for Rest. So King Who Never Sleeps. Yeah. Oh, well, praise God. He never sleeps. Thank you for doing the hard work for us. Yeah. We enjoy it. I enjoy it. My family loves it. Not Edelweiss, the sound of music. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for Be Held. Thank you for King Who Never Sleeps and everything else that you've done. It's been so sweet and special. I'm grateful to have you today. Thanks for having me. Thanks so much for listening to another episode with us. It would mean the most if you took 30 seconds and left us a 5-star review in whatever platform that you're listening in right now. It's one of the best and free ways that you can love on us. So don't forget that anything we mention in today's episode, from resources, products, and more, can all be found in our show notes at realtalkwithrachel.com.
For more updates, behind the scenes, and fun chats, head over to Instagram and follow us at Real Talk Podcast.